Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today we are watching Desert Fox 51 in the Udaloi, the tier 9 Russian destroyer. He is on the map Land of Fire in a 3-point domination game mode. It's a tier 9 battle with only a few tier 9s. There is a carrier around, so that can be problematic if you're in a destroyer, because the carrier can keep you spotted. But we shall see if the enemy carrier will try that. Now personally I'm not really playing Russian destroyers, I'm not a fan of the playstyle, but they can be quite effective. They are gunboats and they are, well, I think a good comparison would be like a tiny little cruiser. You just want to keep your guns firing. They don't have great concealment, which means if an enemy destroyer tries to contest the same capture point as you do, you will be spotted first, and then all enemy ships will fire at you and you will be sad. Now here we can see the enemy planes incoming, which is quite bad, so he's using smoke. Carriers can be not only a problem because they spot you, but with torpedo acceleration, if they are good at dropping their torpedoes, they are a threat to you as a destroyer. So he just made sure that he made it into the cap circle, then he has dropped smoke, and now he is hopefully safe, can capture. And there are some torpedoes from a friendly destroyer. Now we can see here smoke screen from the enemies. I'm not exactly sure why they dropped theirs, but you know there is a destroyer waiting here, but he isn't inside the cap circle, so he can capture in peace. He is maneuvering here, but he has to be careful that he isn't leaving the cap circle. And yeah, slight miscalculation here. I think he wanted to maneuver and turn his ship, and while he did that, he unfortunately left cap a little bit too early. Well, it happens. Now there is an enemy destroyer here, he's opening up with his guns. That's a gunfight you should win in an Udaloi. He also has some friendly fire support here. And the enemy destroyer is dropping smoke. Looks like he will survive. Now unfortunately Desert Fox is detected here. He is trying to stay inside the cap circle and hopes to drop from radar, I guess, and to continue capping. And so far so good. But he is detected again, so he has to speed up. He can't sit here and take fire from an enemy cruiser. Now it looks like the other destroyer is doing a great job capturing, so he doesn't have to stay here. And it seems like people love to drop torpedoes close to him. Now there is a North Carolina coming, but it looks like the North Carolina doesn't have a lot of friends. And let's hope he can start some fires here. And yeah, this is basically what you do in a Russian destroyer. You just keep your guns firing at the enemies, and they're probably cursing because you're a hard target to hit. Now unfortunately he's on a collision course with a friendly cruiser, so he dropped smoke. That means even though he is now standing still for a moment, he isn't an easy target to hit because he's in smoke. And as an added benefit, he provided smoke for the allied cruiser, who could just now stick around. All as well. Now he's launched his torpedoes. The torpedoes on the Udaloi have 8-kilometer range, so that's okay. You can make something happen, although he's also detected at 8 kilometers, which means there isn't much stealth torping going on. But if a ship is sailing towards you, those torpedoes can be quite useful. Now the enemy cruiser is presenting broadside, so he's shooting armor piercing. And we saw a very nice torpedo explosion. And it looks like there will be one torpedo hit at the North Carolina. The North Carolina, I think, is reversing now, but he was still in range. But Desert Fox has switched back to high explosive and he is turning to start fires. Now he's spreading the love around. He already has a fire going on the North Carolina, so now he tries to set a fire on the Iowa as well. And he's moving out. He doesn't want to be too close to these enemy ships when the smoke runs out. Also, there are destroyers incoming and trying to contest the cap. Yugu is dropping smoke, so he is switched to the Sims. Looks like the Sims is trying to run for the friendly smoke, but not sure if he will arrive there in... Or I guess he might make it, or he's just smoking himself. Now he can't go in there and defend the cap. There are enemy ships coming this way, and there are 2 destroyers inside that cap circle. There isn't an awful lot of support going for Point Bravo, so yeah. The friendly team here controls Charlie, and it looks like there is a friendly destroyer chasing a carrier. Now while that carrier is already spotted and a bit out of position, it's still oftentimes not a good choice to, well, hunt the carrier to the zone wall. There is no guarantee that you succeed. The carrier might get you, or maybe there might even be support that gets you. And you just spend an awful long time, and even if you succeed, then you are on the zone wall and it takes a long time to get back, especially if you don't hold the majority of capture points. A destroyer might be much more useful here in the center currently. And yeah, Desert Fox is just keeping up the rain of fire, and North Carolina is finally dealt with. And there were some torpedoes coming. Well, I guess there is a destroyer coming from Alpha who might have gone pretty far south. It's possible that the enemy destroyer is also searching for a carrier. Now this might be an opportunity to take back Bravo. But there are probably still 2 enemy destroyers around and we don't know where they went. And the reinforcements from Charlie aren't really coming. It looks like there are a lot of ships here going north, unfortunately, instead of pushing towards Bravo. If the friendly team would all go to the center, it would be a lot better for them. Now Desert Fox is dropping smoke here and he will shoot away at that broadside. You can see he can get some decent hits with armor piercing here. So even as a battleship, if you see a broadside, armor piercing is a great choice. And there are some torpedoes coming from the zone wall. So yes, there is an enemy destroyer who is probably going along the zone wall trying to find a carrier. Jokes on the enemy destroyer, because the friendly carrier is actually very far away and moved with the team. So the enemy destroyer will spend a long time sailing uselessly along a zone wall. Now there was a nice torpedo hit on the Iowa. The Iowa is burning as well, unfortunately is no longer spotted. Oh, and looks like the Iowa got rid of the fires. There is, I guess, at least one friendly battleship that will provide fire support. The Iowa is burning again, his damage control should be on cooldown. And he's switching back to armor piercing, shoot into the broadside. Those torpedoes improve drop. Oh no. Well, looks like the enemy destroyer didn't have the range. So one catastrophe averted. The Iowa is going down. And yeah, we can see there is still an enemy destroyer inside Bravo. Now he probably should go up there and help the friendly team. Friendly team still hasn't really pushed into Bravo. And yeah, you see the enemy destroyer, he is still chasing the carrier. The enemy carrier now has support. And there is nobody in a position to help that little destroyer up there. Those ships are nowhere near fast enough. And they aren't very good at supporting him against the enemy destroyers anyway. So if those forces had just pushed into Bravo, the friendly team would be in a much better spot right now. But it's looking good nevertheless. The friendly team has a points and ship advantage currently. Just have to make sure that they take a second capture point in the near future. And there is Friedrich der Große coming from Alpha. I'm not sure where that ship has been, because, well, he is barely damaged and he is coming now from Alpha. The enemies have controlled that point for a very long time, so I assume he took a long scenic route along the zone wall. Also a ship that would be much better in the center now, help defending Bravo. And this Scharnhorst is unfortunately out of friends, but the friendly Colorado is probably going down. He's trying to go for the ram, but there are torpedoes incoming, and yeah. Fortunately for this Scharnhorst, yeah, he is out of support. He is burning in multiple locations, and it's only a matter of time before he goes down. Now the friendly destroyer here is taking Point Bravo. And it looks like the Friedrich der Große is coming this way. Like all German battleships, that's a ship with pretty decent secondaries, so might wanna stay out of the range. The problem is they also are quite long range, which makes it hard to stay away. On the bright side, with the Friedrich der Große coming this way, he will soon be in torpedo range, although it's hard to torpedo a ship that's sailing straight towards you. And if you hold your torpedoes until the last moment, you might just get taken out before you can launch your torpedoes. Because let's face it, battleships can kill destroyers quite easily at those ranges, because it's not so hard to hit a destroyer with your main battery guns at 6 kilometers. And the secondary is just rain death and destruction upon you. Now the enemy has decided to run away instead. I think that's a mistake. If the Friedrich der Große had kept coming this way, then there is a chance that he would have been hit by torpedoes, but he would most certainly have been able to take out the Udaloi, I think. Well, meanwhile the friendly team controls 2 capture points. There is an enemy destroyer who did take out the friendly carrier, but you know, at this point in the game it didn't really much matter. Well, technically the enemy team could have a comeback, but this Friedrich der Große is burning and will go down soon. The friendly team can just take Point Alpha as well. This is basically a win. Now looks like the Friedrich der Große is healing, so he will be able to float a little while longer. You can see there is already a lot of secondary fire coming this way. Imagine if the Friedrich der Große would be closer, those secondaries alone would have taken out the Udaloi by now. Not to mention that he would have much better chance of hitting with his primaries. But yeah, that's one ship dealt with. And I think now we just speed it up. The enemy destroyer is trying to take Point Charlie, but it's too late. We can see the enemy planes, they are spotting the friendly destroyer who is taking Alpha, and maybe there are strike craft incoming, but even if, yeah, there are the torpedo bombers, even if he manages to take out the friendly destroyer, this won't change a lot. There is a friendly battleship going for Point Charlie, and I guess it's possible that the enemy destroyer will take him out, but yeah, at this point I don't have any hopes for the enemy team. Our Desert Fox is meanwhile just capturing here. And looks like the enemy destroyer got taken out. And with this, the friendly team should have won now any second by points. Now let's take a look at the results. Desert Fox managed to get 2,932 base experience, and he certainly played this rather well. Now in a Russian destroyer you are more of a fire support ship, and while you are obviously, like any destroyer, in a good position to take capture points, you do have a disadvantage against enemy destroyers because they have better concealment. And if you are detected and they are not, you often are forced to retreat. So yes, he played this like a fire support ship. He kept his guns blazing. And he did a pretty good job. Now Desert Fox got himself Confederate, Witterer, Arsonist and High Caliber. He managed to do 241,000 points of damage, and this is really impressive. So I hope you enjoyed watching this game. I certainly did. And I'll see you guys next time.